So this is a factoring basics review. So hopefully you know a little bit about factoring first, and we're just going to review it. So it's not all brand new to you. So I'm going to try to go through this pretty fast. So first step of factoring, and it's like always the first step, is you want to factor out a monomer, which just means to factor out what they have in common first. So like here, you look at these, you're like, what kind of, you just want to ask yourself, what can I divide by? Right? What can I divide all of them by? Very important. Right? That's all factoring in. It's like, what can I get out of all of them? So what can I divide all of them by? It has to be all of them. In this case, I would say they both divide by 5. They're both divisible by 5, and they both have an x. So we're going to get that 5x and put it on the outside. And then all we do is we divide each of them by the 5x. So 35 divided by 5 is 7. X squared divided by x is x. Minus 15 divided by 5 is 3, and the x's cancel out. So there you go. And as always with factoring, the good thing about it, if you want, you can always check your work. Distribute, see if you get the same thing back. And then negative 15x. So yes, it does work. So that is our answer. So that's factoring. Just see what they, look at them and go, what can I divide all of them by? And try to do that. So this next one will go a little faster, right? If you look at them, they all divide by 3. And they all have an a. So put a 3a on the outside. And then we're just going to divide all of them by 3a. Now you don't have to actually show this work most of the time. You just do it in your head. And you should get b minus 2c plus 3a minus 4z. And there we go. You factored out 3a from all of these. Right? So you just pull it out and then divide each of them by that. Now it doesn't have to be a monomial. I mean, it doesn't have the. You do want to pull out what they have from all in common, but that thing you factor out does not have to be a monomial. Like in this case, these all have an n minus 3 in common. So it's the exact same concept. We're going to factor out an n minus 3. And then we just divide all of these by n minus 3. These cancel, and then I'll put m squared on that one. These cancel, I get plus m. And here's the important one, a lot of people mess this one up. These cancel, doesn't go away, it's a 1. Right? When you divide like 2 by 2, you get 1. So it's minus 1 out there. And you just factor out an n minus 3 from all these. So that's the basic factoring. That's always step 1. You always want to factor out a monomial. Then we get to the next step, type of factoring. That's when there's 4 things that don't all share the same thing in common. Most of the time what you want to do is factor by grouping. So when we group, we're going to group the first 2 and the last 2 most of the time. You might have to rearrange it. And then you're just going to factor each one of these separately. So the one right here, these both divide by 3, and they all have a p squared. So I could factor out a 3p squared from all of them. And again, we're just going to divide this by 3p squared. So you get 4p, right? Because there was 3 p's, we took out 2 of them. Then right over here, we divide by 3p squared. 21 divided by 3 is negative 7. Very important to have the negative. And then you got rid of all the p's. Now when you factor by grouping, very, very important, you bring down the middle sign every single time. Whatever it is, you have to bring it down. Now these two have a 7 in common. And we're just going to divide all these by 7. 28 divided by 7 is 4p. Negative 49 divided by 7 is 7. And then you get down here, and honestly all you're doing here is the same thing we did right here. You're like, oh, what do they all have in common? And then minus 3, and you factor it out. Same thing here. Do they have anything in common? Yeah. They all have a 4p minus 7. Factor it out. You get 4p minus 7. And then what's left over when you pull it out? 3p squared plus 7. Then you just factor by grouping. So I'm going to do another one real quick. I'm going to do a couple. So same idea here. I'm going to go a little faster. These have a 4b squared in common. Divide all of them by 4b squared. You get b minus 3. Right? So this divided by 4b squared. 4's cancel out. You just get a b. Always, always, always bring down the middle sign. That's why I'm doing this one. Over here they have a 5 in common. So put a 5 on the outside. And here's the important part. We'll show the steps on this one. Now keep in mind, when you factor, you divide by this. And this is a negative 5. So I'm going to divide negative 5b by negative 5. And I get a positive b. And then right here is where everybody messes this one up, right? You're dividing that positive 15 by negative 5. So you should get a negative 3. Right, because again, you're dividing by what's out here in front. Now look at, hey, they match again. So factor out the v minus 3, and you're left with 4v squared minus 5. Okay, next one is the reason I'm showing this one. Same concept though, we're going to do the first two, last two. These have an 8r squared in common. Divide all by 8r squared. So I get r minus 8. Always, always, always bring down the middle sign. Now here's where it gets a little tricky, that's why I want to do this one. R minus 8, they have nothing in common. When you have nothing in common, you could always factor out of 1. So, if they have nothing in common, just factor out of 1. So put a 1 on the outside, and then we're going to leave, right, then you just divide by 1, which is just r minus 8, nothing changes. So anytime you have nothing in common, you can always factor out of 1. And now look at, these match still. So factor that out, r minus 8, put it gone. What's left over? 8r squared plus 1. So we have that. Okay, so that's all we did factor by grouping. We did factor by grouping, we did factor out of monomial. And now, let's go to the main thing. That's how to factor a trinomial, specifically with the number in front. That's what most people have the hardest time with. So I'm going to show you how to do this two ways. The proper way, which is factor. We're going to use factor by grouping because all we're kind of do is kind of reverse multiplying these out. So we're kind of like undo it. So we have to do that by factor by grouping. And then I'll show you the big X method, which is kind of shortcut to that. But first, let's do the proper way. So the proper way, you multiply the first term and the last term, and you get 21a squared. Now what we want to do is find the factors of 21, things that multiply to get 21, but happen to add to get negative 10. Now, it is a positive 21. Only way you can get a positive if the two things you multiply are both the same sign. And it's a negative 10, so they both have to be negative. So like negative 1 and negative 21, negative 3 and negative 7. Those are the only things that multiply to get negative 20, to get positive 21. Which of these two add to get negative 10? That would be this one right here. Right? When I add them up, I get negative 10a. So what we do next is we're going to replace. We're going to substitute these two in for that negative 10a. And it makes sense. Negative 3a plus negative 7a does equal negative 10a. So basically we're just going to split up this part into these two guys. So I'm going to rewrite it. So like that. Right, so all I did was multiply the first and last, found the combination of things that multiply to get negative 21, that happened to be negative 3a and minus 7a, then we substituted in for the negative 10a. So instead of negative 10a, I'm plugging these two in. And once you get to here, we just factor by grouping. You go, hey, these have a 3a in common. I have to do with a minus 1. Always bring down the middle sign, always. These two have a 7 in common. And don't forget, we're dividing by negative 7. Very important, right? So negative 7a divided by negative 7 is just a. 7 divided by negative 7 is negative 1. Hey, these match. So you factor it out, and you get a minus 1, 3a minus 7. So that's how you factor the proper way. Now, and I like that way. It's one of my favorites. But it is a little long, especially with the factor by grouping at the end of it. So there's a shortcut method, which is called the big X method. There's lots of shortcut methods, like you could do guess and check, which works really well, especially if you're really good at figuring out the combinations. There's something called a snowflake method, which is essentially the big X method. Lots of ways. Any way that works for you, I'm fine with. And I used to hate the big X method. Now I kind of dig it. So I'm going to show you the big X method. So it all hinges on the fact that we know that this is A, X squared, this is BX, and this is C. So I'm going to show you like the little formula right here. The formula is, I'm going to put AC up there. Right, put a little multiplication so we know that over multiplying to get those two. And then we want to add them to get the bottom, to get B. Like that. That's just like we did here, right? We try to figure out what two things multiply to get 21, which we got from A and C, and we're trying to figure out things that multiply to get 21 but add to get the middle term, B. So same concept. Here's where the shortcut part comes in. On the side here, we're going to put AX and AX. right? So if you see, it's really right now it's just an organization method. Like that's how it starts off with. Like same thing we did here, right? Oh, multiply A and C, that goes on top. I want them to add the B down here. That works. So it's just an organization. Here's the shortcut part of it. So on the sides here, I'm gonna put a line. I'm gonna put AX. You might ask why not AX squared? Well, when I multiply these, I want to be able to get X squared, not X to the 4th. So we're just gonna put AX. You might ask then, when you multiply A and A, why isn't it A squared? Well, we'll reduce that away. So it will work. Trust me, it works. It just, we're not gonna put the AX squared there. We just put AX because we only want X squared. So you kind of split in half, just like we did here. And then what goes down here are the factors you find. So this is a general setup. So we're going to do this. Like if we have steps, it would be 1, fill out, big X. 2, find the factors. Put find factors. 3 is we're going to reduce the factors. So once we have our factors, we're going to put them right here. They'll go here and here. And then we're going to reduce if possible. And then 4 we're going to rewrite. I know it looks like a lot of steps, but trust me, it actually does go by much faster. Let me shrink this and move this down here just so we have it when I do it. Same thing with all these. Let's shrink this a little bit so I have some more space. Okay. So this is the big X method, and I'll do it a couple times so you can see how it works. So I'm going to do a big OX. We're going to multiply the first and last. 3a squared times negative 7 times 7 is 21a. Put 21 up there. We're going to put negative 10 down here. Put a line here and here. And we're going to put just the 3a, not the 3a squared. Right? Then we got to find the... Now, there's no way to round this part. This is the essence of factoring. You always have to do this part, right? So I got to figure out two things that multiply to get 21, but add to get negative 10. Now, look, we just did this problem, so we know it to be negative 3 and negative 7. Like that. Now, all we have to do here is reduce if we can. I cannot reduce 3 over 7. That's the way it is. I can reduce this side, though. They both divide by 3. So let's reduce it. I'm going to erase some of this because I need space. That's going to give me a over negative 1. Now, all I got to do now is rewrite it. And it's super simple. You're just going to write the top plus the bottom. In this case, a minus 1. And then over here, 3a minus 7. And there we go. We get the exact same answer. Now, again, that might be like, that took forever. I was showing you how to do it. Let's do it again. I'm going to do it a little fast. So I'm going to write my big X. I'm going to apply the first and last. And I get negative 15. The middle one goes down here. I'll put a lines on the side. That should be 3p and 3p. And remember, right? I only put the ax. I don't put the squared. So 3p, 3p. And then, now again, this part never changes. I got to figure out the two things that multiply to get negative 15, but add to get negative 2. It is a negative 15, so they'd be different signs. So like negative 1 and 15, negative 15 and 1, negative 3 and 5, negative 5 and 3. Now, the faster you can do this part, like if you just go, oh, I know what the two things that multiply to get negative 15 and add to get negative 2, save yourself even more time. So anyway, that's my combination. So let's put it down here. Negative 5 and 3. And then reduce if you can. The left side does not reduce. This side does. 3's cancel, and I get p over 1. Notice I left it over 1 because when I rewrite it, I want to have a 1 there if it's there. So don't just give me p over 1. And then we're done. 3p minus 5, p plus 1. And there you go. Right? So much faster. Right? I'm going to do it one more time. So multiply those two. I get 10. On the bottom here is going to be 11. Put 2v, 2v. Find the things that multiply to get 10, but add to get 11. I got is 1 and 10. Don't even think about it, right? 1 and 10. So put 1 over here, put 10 over there. Reduce if you can. These both reduce by 2. Oops. So I get v over 5. Rewrite it. 2v plus 1. V plus 5. Right? If you can find the factors, then it's not that bad. You gotta reduce a little bit. Okay, let's show you this one. So, don't forget this one looks disgusting, right? You want to multiply 45 and 18. I don't want to multiply 45 and 18. But don't forget rule number 1, all the way up here, of factoring. Always factor out a monomial first if you can. It makes your life so much easier. So look, first thing I want to do here is look, wait, do they have anything in common? They all divide by 9. Yeah, they all divide by 9, and they all have a k. So first, pull out the 9k, right? Then we divide everything by 9. So that's going to be 5b squared minus 7b plus 2, right? So divide everything by 9k. Right, now it looks much easier. I can just factor this guy, and we're going to do the big X again. So 5 times 2 is 10, negative 7. Put the 5b here and the 5b here, right, as always. Now I need to find the two things that multiply to get 10, but add to get negative 7, right? That part never changes. So you just got to know your factors. Now keep in mind, it's a positive sentence, so they have to be the same sign, right? Anytime this is positive, it's either plus plus or minus minus. And it's going to be minus minus because it's negative 7. So in this case, negative 2 and negative 5 work. So negative 2 and negative 5. Reduce. Over here, the 5's cancel. I get b over negative 1. Don't forget, you do need to keep the 1. And then here, nothing happens, so I'm just going to put 5b minus 2. And then b minus 1. Don't forget the thing you factored out from the beginning. It's like that. So don't forget, if it does look disgusting, just always be supposed to check, could I factor them all out? Could I factor a mononomial first? It makes your life so much easier. So that's like the hard one. For most people, these things are the hardest types of factoring. And then if you know that, you can do this one, right? With no number in front. There's lots of ways to do it, but honestly, if you have a method, like if you just know big X, just do big X. 32, right? 32 times 1 is just 32. Down here is negative 12. I'm going to put an X and an X, right? Because there's no number in front, so it's just XX. Over here, find things that multiply to get 32 but add to get negative 12. So you're going like, again, it's positive, so it has to be the same sign. So it has to be like 32 and 1, 8 and 4, 2, 16. Oops, they should all be negative. Right, it's the only way you can multiply to get it positive but add to get negative. So it's 8 and 4. And there you go. X minus 8, X minus 4. Again, you can always double check your work by multiplying out and see if you get the right answer. This will show you this one. Right, so negative 21, negative 4. I'm going to add another one in a second too. X and X. Right, negative 21. Two things that multiply to get negative 21 are negative 3 and 7, negative 7 and 3, negative 21 and 1, negative 1 and 21. And it would be this one. Right, anytime it's a negative, here it has to be different signs. Right, so it doesn't, plus, minus, minus, plus doesn't matter. If it's a positive up there, it has to be the same sign. Plus, plus, or minus, minus. If it's a negative, it has to be different signs. So we get this again, nothing reduces. So X minus 7, X plus 3. Before I go to the last thing there, let me do one more. Let's do X squared plus 2X plus 7. So same thing, right? 7 and the 2, XX. I need the things that multiply to get 7. That's only 1 and 7. That's it. Well, when I add these, I don't get 2. There's no possible way. If that happens, if you can't find any combination, you call that prime. That's a prime number there, a prime factor, prime trinomial. Right? Prime means the only thing you can divide it by is by 1 in itself. So this is a prime. So if you can't factor it, prime. Okay, let's talk about the special case, a difference of 2 squares. So this is a shortcut method. If you happen to see two things that happen to be squared, a squared minus b squared, the way we get that is by doing a minus b times a plus b. So if you can factor this one, it does make your life a lot easier. So, I mean, you could do the big X if you want to, but it's just a lot more work. It's easier just to go, oh wait, this is a difference of 2 squared. That's a squared, that's a squared. This is x squared minus 5 squared. So that's going to be x minus 5, x plus 5. Now again, this is a review video, so I'm not going to go through all the details of why, but that's the difference of 2 squares. So that gets you that. You can, again, you multiply your work, check to get the right answer. Same thing here. So if you just could figure out the, wait, is that a square? Yeah, that's 25 squared. Don't you know? That's y squared. And there you go. A minus b, a plus b. 25 minus y, 25 plus y. You can also do plus or, it doesn't matter which one's in front and which one's back, by the way. It could be plus, it could be minus, doesn't matter. They just have to be different signs. Same thing here, even if there's a variable in the back, doesn't matter. 14 is 12 squared. 49m is the same thing as 7m squared, right? If you take the square root of this, you get 7m. So that's what that is. So it's going to be 12 minus 7m, 12 plus 7m. And just keep in mind, it doesn't matter if you want to do this guy first, you could also do that guy first. Same answer, the exact same answer. Like that. And it even works if it's a binomial, right? So just remind you, remember, the formula is a squared minus b squared is a minus b, a plus b, or the other way around, does not matter. So as long as we have that, well, we have it here. This is a squared, this is b squared, this is 6. So all we're going to do is fill out this part, right? So that's going to be a minus 5, minus 6, and then a minus 5 plus 6. Right? Like that's my a, and that's my b. You just plug in the same form, and then you can reduce it if you want. So that's the difference of two squares. So if you happen to notice it's in the form a squared minus b squared, that's a really easy thing to factor. It's a minus b, a plus b, like we did here. So that's factoring methods. So that's a recap of factoring. Keep in mind, first you always want to do is see if they have a monomial in common, right? Always want to figure out if you can factor something out first. It makes your life so much easier if it does. And under that, if you have 4 things, try to factor by grouping. If you have 3 things, I'll suggest do the big X or whatever comes up for you. Big X, fact, long way. If you have 2 things, honestly, the first thing you want to check is see if they have anything in common, and then it might be a difference in 2 squares. But that's the video.